Hello, folks. It's me, Ian Haas. This is who I actually am, and this is my face reveal. I won't even make a big deal out of that because, a lot of the people who know me and still watch this channel, they pretty much know who I am. So I guess it doesn't matter. This is me. This is my face reveal. Yeah, look at me. I'm so hot. Whatever. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Okay. A long time ago, James Rolfe, also known as the Angry Video Game Nerd, he runs the channel Cinemassacre. Uh, a while back, he made a list of his top 50 favorite films. He put into like a two-parter, each covered like 25, and I really liked it. I liked seeing this guy who is obviously a cinephile like me, going on about his favorite films and why he's passionate about that, and you know, I myself, I felt inspired to do that, because I also really love films, and my favorite films I'm especially inspired by, you know. So I decided to make my own list for myself at first. It was my 20 favorite films, and then I bumped up to 25 when I realized I'd be leaving quite a few off the list, so not as many. And I decided, why stop there? Why not make my own video just to have something on this channel to watch? Because otherwise, there's not going to be a lot I'm going to be putting on here for a while. So, I'll have music and animations in the works, but this will be a good thing to bide our time with until then. So, yeah, I'll also be including a list of honorable mentions before number one, just so you can also know what those films are, other films I like, if you want to check those out as well. Yeah, that's basically it. So, here it goes. The top 25 favorite films of mine. Let's kick it off with number 25. Number 25, Collateral. This film, it's a pretty interesting film. It's about this cab driver played by Jamie Foxx. Who's just an ordinary guy trying to make an honest living, but he dreams of having his own limousine business someday. So he's saving up the money for that. And then one day, this wealthy man by the name, well, he's played by Tom Cruise, I should say. I was just gonna call him that, so you better know who he is, right? He gets in, and he pays Jamie a lot of money to take him to all these different locations, and it sounds good, right? But then then you realize that Tom Cruise, he's actually the bad guy. And believe it or not, he plays a pretty convincing bad guy. He's actually a hitman who's going around killing all these people, and Jamie he has to do it because he's at first it's for the money, but then he's held hostage. And it really tests him. It really tests this ordinary guy. What will he go to for his dream? And what is worth it? For these sorts of things, right? It connects with me in a way because, like him, I'm a bit of an ordinary guy with higher aspirations. Maybe this channel being successful. It always makes you wonder, right? Would I do that for that kind of money? I probably wouldn't, but it's nice to have that sort of morality test. I kind of like those films that do that. I like how it's got this noir style. It's technically a noir film, and I love those. And it really just works so well, right? They're just driving around Los Angeles for one night while all this interesting philosophical dialogue goes around, and a ton of great action. And that scene where Shadow of the Sun by Audioslave plays, that is one of the best uses of a popular song, at least back then, in a movie I've ever seen. It really adds to all the tension, the emotion behind it. That alone makes it deserving to be on this list. Number 24, Weapons. Yeah, you're kind of surprised that a new film, from this summer, would be on the list. And admittedly, what makes it this low is that it hasn't stood the test of time because it's so new, right? It's not one that I've watched, a lot. I saw it when it came out in theaters. I've seen clips of it since then. And, even watching those clips, it's still so great. Watching the reviews even, it's so great just seeing all the scenes from it. But, you know, I haven't seen it enough that it's ingrained in me like other films. But it's definitely on its way to being my favorite horror film because it does so much right. I mean, rather than like most modern horror movies that rely on like cheap jump scares and subpar gore, I mean, they have jump scares and gore in here, but it's always earned and it's always just so disgusting. It's like, I definitely think they're using practical effects for a lot of it, which is the way to go with this sort of stuff. But beyond that, it's focused a lot more, like the scariness of it all comes more from the suspense and the tension, the suspense of, the creatures creeping up on everyone, and then the tension when they're running after them, like, because they really drag out a lot of, like, anytime, like, one of the possessed people runs towards one of the characters, like, the chase goes on forever and it never gets boring. I'm always on the edge of my seat whenever I even watch a clip from that movie. It's insane. But, more than that, it's also got great mystery element. Like, it's not just a horror movie. It's not just scary, and that's what makes it such a great horror film, It's got a great mystery element, Even, like, now that I know the twists and all that, which I won't spoil here, but, like, even so, it's really great watching it all be pieced together, because it's played out of order. It's played from the perspective of every character mentioned in the movie, right? How they all come to be a part of it, and it's kind of like Memento. That's not on the list, but honestly, this kind of works even better with the way the mystery is, I mean, that's a bit of a hot take, I guess. Memento's also really great, but I don't know, I kind of like how they do it here. And on top of all that, it's also just kind of sad and disheartening, watching this teacher slip into alcoholism after the town ostracizes them because they're scared for their kids. The kids all left her class and ran out into the night, and only one stayed behind, and you wonder what his deal is. And then when you find out, it's heartbreaking, what happened to him and what it has to do with all this. Like, again, I won't spoil it all, but if you know what happens in the movie, you'll know just that it gets you, The characters are so likable, and you really care about them, They're just trying to get through this all. Like, even the ones that start off, like, unlikable, like that parent who's constantly, like, harassing the teacher is, like, he's mad that his kid left. Like, eventually you start to see into how he's feeling, and you start to empathize with him. And I like how they do that, how they put you in his shoes, so you start to feel bad for him. And it works so well. So yeah, that's why I love Weapons, and frankly, you gotta watch it. I don't think it's in theaters anymore at the time of this recording, but like maybe it'll be out and streaming soon. Watch it. It is underrated as heck. Number 23, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This film, it's pure nostalgia for me. I mean, a lot of these films are, but this one especially. It's like such a product of the late 2000s or early 2010s and whatnot. But it's also just, it's really fun. It's like a comic book. It was based off a comic book, and it has that comic book feel. It's like, you watch it, and it's just fun, It takes you back to, like, your teenage years. And, it's fun watching Scott Pilgrim take down all the evil exes and all the drama that goes on. The characters are really awesome, memorable, likable, and, it's almost ethereal in a way. Like, you just can't really comprehend why this is so good, but it's like, you can't help but enjoy it because it's got a bit of campiness to it, and it's just like, it's just the ultimate misadventure, right? It's a misadventure movie, really, and I especially like the video game feel because, I like video games, especially like a lot of old retro ones, and the callback to that, it's awesome, That's probably also what makes it for me. But yeah, it still deserves praise after all this time. It's well done, well made. So yeah, I like it, and, you've probably checked this one out, but check it out again, right? This one is pretty good. Number 22, Taxi Driver. Yeah, now we're getting some older films, because obviously, I like my fair share of those. Some are actually pretty high up on this list, you know? I mean, you'll find that the biggest decade that brought the most movies onto this list is the 2000s. Maybe I'm kind of biased because that's when I was born, but, you know, I don't know, just they got a lot of great films from that decade. But that all aside, Taxi Driver, it's great because, well, I think the only thing that could do it justice is this comment I found. I don't remember it or who did it, so, like, whoever posted the comment, if you're watching this, let me know in the comments below that's you, and I'll certify it. But anyway, he said, watch this movie when it's 3 a.m. and you're trying to sleep, but you can't. And then you'll know why it's a masterpiece. I mean, because the film literally is about a taxi driver who can't sleep. Because, you know, he's a Vietnam veteran, he has PTSD, and a lot's going on inside here, right? A lot. And, you know, I love that also as a... it also has a bit of a noir feel. Like, that combined with the taxi stuff, the fact he's a taxi driver, it kind of reminds me of Collateral. But I like it even more just because... just how much you see the man deteriorate mentally, and how much the environment around him, how much that impacts him going down the downward spiral. He's enabled in a way. And, you know, Robert De Niro, he plays a phenomenal job as a taxi driver. I love the guy in a lot of the stuff he does, but, you know, when he's working with Scorsese, that's always a great combination. This is one of his best. Number 21, The Outlaw Josie Wales. This film, it's actually my grandpa's favorite film, as a fun fact. And honestly, I can see why, because it's actually my favorite Western. Like, and there's a lot of good ones. The Dollars trilogy, Once Upon a Time in the West, they're all great. Very close to making it onto this list, but this one actually made the cut just because it's such an interesting story, right? It's about Clint Eastwood, being a humble farmer in Missouri. And then it's during the Civil War, so Union soldiers attack and kill his family. So, purely out of revenge, he joins up with these Confederate rogues who go and try to take them down. Then the war ends, and all his buddies get killed. So, then he has to move. Then he runs away to Texas to start a new life for himself and try to redeem himself for, you know, fighting for the Confederacy. I mean, it probably helps that he was doing it out of solely revenge and not, like, support for slavery or anything like that. But him sinking so low, like, even though you empathize with him, is why it's so rewarding to try and see him redeem himself, you know? Like, and with all the people he meets on the way, their struggles and the way, you know, they all connect with each other. They come together to try and rebuild their lives after the Civil War. It's like, it's really touching to see, you know? Because you feel for them, you know? It's like the ultimate redemption story, and, you know, it's one I would definitely recommend checking out. Even if you're not that big a fan of Westerns, the mere story and what it's about, it'll stick with you, you know? It's not like other Westerns, and that's why I love it. And that's probably why my grandpa loves it so much. It's exceptional. Watch it. Number 20, Back to the Future. I mean, this is like the ultimate 80s film, right? Like, when people think of 80s films at this point, they usually think of Back to the Future, or some other great film by, like, Spielberg, or Zemeckis, you know, I mean, though I don't think he did a lot during that decade besides Back to the Future, but it's a pretty good film, you know? It's like, you know, it's just the ultimate blockbuster comfort food of movies, you know? But it's not like just, you know, it's not just cliche, you know, it has a lot of heart, a lot of great comedy. The characters are some of the most memorable in all of 80s movies. And, you know, the score by Alan Silvestri, I thought that was actually John Williams who did it, because it kind of sounds a lot like that. But then I listened more to Alan Silvestri's scores, and he's his own man now. And he's also really great, really talented. You know, and it's also great that it's a time travel movie, but it's not even that complicated. Like, mostly because it's just, you know, Marty going back to 1955 and then trying to get back to his own time. It's less like a, you know, it feels less like a time travel movie, more like someone getting lost in the middle of nowhere and trying to get back home, you know? The way they frame it like that, it it makes it a lot more easy to follow, you know. And even though like he meets his parents and he meets Biff back then, at the same time they feel enough like different characters that again it feels like he's just a different place rather than time, and that's why it works so well. So yeah, maybe you've all seen it, maybe you've all seen it before, but yeah, watch it. Number 19, Jaws. You know how I said I like weapons because of all the suspense and tension? Well, that is kicked up to an 11 in Jaws. Like, this is just, like, it's like the beginning of Spielberg's career as, like, being super famous. It invented the modern blockbuster, and it still somehow feels, like, overrated in a way. Like, because, like, it's like the ultimate, like, monster movie. Like, maybe not the ultimate, but, like, one of the ultimate, right? I mean, just, the way it's all set up, right? You see from the shark's point of view, the John Williams score creeping as the shark gets closer, and then, pow! He gets one of the humans, and, it really gets me on edge every time, and I love it. And then when they go out hunting for the shark, it's such a fun, like, monster hunting movie, All these three guys who don't like each other have got to work together to take down this big, powerful beast. And, you really start to wonder if they could do it, because this very easily could have been a film where they all die, and not to spoil who dies, but not all of them make it out alive. So, you start to wonder. But then, when they're on their last legs, they do it. I mean, that's not much of a spoiler, I guess, but, still, I mean, yeah, the shark dies, but, like, who cares if you know that or not? It's still a tense, fun, action-packed romp, one of Spielberg's best, and I highly recommend. Number 18, Sin City. I'm not usually one for exploitation films, but, like, if there's one guy who's made that into an actual art form that I really love, it's Quentin Tarantino. And while he didn't technically direct this film, the original comics creator, Frank Miller, did that. He was brought on to help a lot with it, so I consider it an honorary Tarantino film, especially because it has his mark on it. And, yeah, it's crazy, It's called Sin City for a reason. All the most sinful and degenerate things you could see in that city happen. But it's also interesting just seeing these good-hearted people navigate a world that's forced to be corrupt by the people in power just running it into the ground, It's, it's almost like triumphant to see them do what they can to make a little bit of good happen in this world, right? It's so bleak, it's noir style, and I love it, especially how it's kind of shot in black and white, but, like, not really. Like, the color scheme, it makes it one of the most visually stunning films I've ever seen. And, it also has one of my favorite quotes, one of the most poignant, I think. The senator's speech, he's like, power doesn't come from bats or a gun, it comes from lying. Lying good, lying hard. Once you got everyone believing what they know and their hearts ain't true, that's when you got them. That was stuck with me because of how true it was. And, it's really poignant, one of the most I've ever seen in a movie, and that's why it's one of my personal favorites. And, that alone bumps it up as high as it is. So, yeah, I mean, it's worth watching. I mean, you'll have to get through a lot of, sex and violence and whatnot, but it's worth it for the heart underneath. That's why I love this film. Number 17, Sunset Boulevard. I said I love noir films, like, multiple times now? Well, this has got to be one of the best. I mean, it's probably one of the best from, like, the original noir era. I like a lot of neo-noir films, but, like, this one, I don't even think it's technically considered noir, but it has a lot of those elements, so I consider it one. And it's just so great. I mean, it's actually kind of based on a true story. Like, it was about this silent actress who couldn't make the transition from silent to sound film, so she was cast aside and apparently went crazy and killed someone. And yeah, the way she's played here, it's heartbreaking. You really feel for her, and you really like. It's one of the first films to really take an axe to the Hollywood establishment and just show the darker side of fame and fortune. Like, it's like particularly in Hollywood. I don't think it's the first, but one of the first to specifically say Hollywood ain't all just glitz and glamour, right? It's so sad just watching her, fall apart at the hands of this writer who happened to stumble upon her, thinking that, for both of them, they'd finally get a second chance. And I won't spoil how it turns. I can't talk today. I won't spoil how it turns out for them, but it's really sad, really devastating, but not to the point where I wouldn't want to watch it again. It's always a roller coaster that I'm happy to watch, just to really see just how messed up that side of Hollywood can be. And, there are films that have done that sort of thing better, but this one really sticks out to me for that. As well as just all the tension and the noir elements. It's so moody. It's just something you gotta put on. It works so well. Number 16, John Wick Chapter 4. Yeah, this is another recent film, and yeah, admittedly, this and Weapons are the only two films from this decade that are going to be on this list, but look, there's a reason for this, okay? In the case of John Wick Chapter 4, I kind of put it here as a placeholder for the entire quadrilogy, but I especially like the fourth one the most because of how great of a climax it is to everything that's been building up, alright? It is the peak of all the creativity of the action scenes, all the drama surrounding John Wick and the people he encounters, and, finally taking down this corrupt syndicate that wants to take him down, not just because he's excommunicado, but for more sinister reasons. It's such a wild ride. The shots are amazing, especially by the end, him just walking up to this grand palace, and just having a duel with a former friend of his. I won't spoil how it turns out, but, it shakes me every time. I always love it. It's such a romp. You gotta watch it, You gotta watch the whole quadrilogy to build it up. But, if you get there, this is the peak of modern action movies. It's the only good series in modern times that's really great, especially in terms of action. So, yeah, if you don't like modern action movies, John Wick is always a must. Number 15, Rope. Now, this is probably the oldest film on this list, and, it's underrated as heck. It's like a Hitchcock film, so yeah, it probably isn't. Those are considered some of the best to come out of classical Hollywood, and this one is a choice one. I mean, most people, when they think of movies to put on their list of favorite films, if they pick a Hitchcock film, it's always like, Vertigo or Rear Window, and those are all great, but for my money, this one is my second favorite. I'll get to my first one in a little while, but this one I like just because it's pure Hitchcockian suspense. It's suspense incarnate. It's literally about these two guys who commit what they call the perfect murder. They believe in the art of murder, exactly. So they take a rope and they strangle a guy to death at the beginning, and they take his body and they hide it in a trunk in the room, and then they invite guests over, including the victim, his name is David. They invite his girlfriend, his father over, and they all have dinner on top of it, and you really wonder if they're gonna get caught. And the guy played by John Dahl, he's just so giddy about it, so charismatic, so so suave, so awesome. It's awesome that I strangled a guy to death. And the other guy, he's like, what the heck did we do? He's kind of more the voice of reason, even though he still is a murderer. But as far as murderers go, he's the voice of reason. And it sucks you in. I saw this it was free with ads on YouTube, and I only clicked on it to watch a little bit of it, and before I knew it, I was close to the end. I was so sucked in. Mostly because it's shot like it's just one big take. They couldn't actually do that because the technology wasn't there yet, but the cuts are hidden in a way that it just seems like it's one big take. And It's probably because it was based on a theatrical play in 1929. So that's probably why it feels like that, but it just, you can't look away. You just want to know what's going to happen to them. And even after you do, you still just want to know if maybe somehow it'll turn out different. Maybe you remembered wrong. That's why I like it. And if you're going to give Hitchcock films a try, this is a great one to start with. Number 14, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, now we're getting some animated films now. I mean, you should probably know that because this is an animation channel. I love animated films, and this one is an especially choice one. You know, it's by Tim Burton, who I already love because I love his gothic and expressionist influences. I love that kind of media. It really comes to a head here. You know, in such a creative way, like making holidays towns, and having them be sealed away behind these trees until they come into the real world. It's such a crazy and unique idea that only Tim Burton could come up with. And the characters are also memorable. You know, Jack and Sally's romance is just one of the greatest animated couples of all time, in my opinion. And the songs. Danny Elfman is underrated, not just as a film composer, but as a show tunes composer. All the great songs, from Jack's Lament to This Is Halloween to the Oogie Boogie song to all of it, they're all just amazing songs. I listen to them all the time. Even when it's not Halloween or Christmas, I'll still watch this movie and listen to its music. You can watch them on either holiday, by the way. Like, it could be both a Halloween and a Christmas film, because it works so well as both. And it works all year round because it's just pure Burton magic. This should be your introduction to Tim Burton. Like, either that or probably Batman or Beetlejuice. Number 13, King Kong. Specifically the 2005 remake by Peter Jackson. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't fully seen the original, so I was hesitant to, put that on the list instead. I'm not even really sure it's better that much. I know that's really a hot take, but for this remake, it's probably one of the best remakes I've seen because of how much it does what a remake should, and that is build off of the original to make it better. I mean, it was a total passion project, so much that Peter Jackson reportedly even took time out of his schedule to recreate deleted scenes from the original movie just because of how passionate he was. The original movie, not this one actually, but the original one, it inspired him to make movies. And when you consider how great of a filmmaker he is, it just shows you how much of a marvel that film was. And, well, that makes it probably better objectively. It's not my favorite because I didn't connect with it the way I connect with this one, probably because I haven't fully seen it yet. I've only seen clips of it. But yeah, I mean, it's King Kong, it's the ultimate monster movie, or one of, again, like, Jaws is also great, but so is King Kong, right? Like a giant ape climbing the Chrysler building. It's iconic. It's so great how they build off of it in every way. Even if they use CGI, they work so hard to make it so realistic that you'll almost forgive them for not using stop motion. I mean, and admittedly, that probably wouldn't work as well in the way they were directing it. So, I'm not mad as much over that. I'm not the biggest CGI guy, but if it's done right, like it is here, it works so well. So yeah, even if you like the original, give the remake a try. It's probably also really good. Number 12, Spirited Away. Yeah, this is probably this is the only anime film on the list, because I'm not usually a big anime guy. I like some anime, but usually it's the kind of anime that diverges the most from the usual tropes and, style. And Studio Ghibli does that in droves, and this is their magnum opus. The animation, it's pure beauty. Just pure, unadulterated beauty. Every frame, it's like you could put as the backdrop for your laptop. That's not what I do. I don't do it with 8 frames from the film, but I could because it's so beautiful. And the characters so endearing. It's the world so magical. And the growth of Chihiro from a scared little girl at the beginning to someone who's capable and confident. It's nice to see that sort of normal growth, you know? It really feels so realistic. And by the end of it, you feel like you've really accomplished something by watching it. Just watching it, it makes you feel like things are better now, in a way. Like, that's how I feel. And I love it. It's such a comfort film. And yeah, if you're all animation fans, you've probably already seen this one. But come on, see it again. What'll it cost you, right? Unless you're like renting it, I guess. But like, if not, what'll it cost you? Number 11, The Social Network. Yeah, I mean, you'd think a film like this about the creation of something like Facebook would normally be boring as heck. But what makes it one of the greatest is just number one, the writing is the tightest I've ever seen in a movie. It is just like tight incarnate. And the acting, alright, from Jesse Eisenberg as Mark to Andrew Garfield as Eduardo to, you know, Justin Timberlake. Apparently the guy has serious acting chops. I did not know that. When he comes on, that's when the film really gets good. And yeah, the crash out scene when Eduardo crashes out at Mark for getting shut out of the company. It's the greatest crash out scene I've ever seen in cinema history. It just hits you like a truck. Seeing the destruction of Mark and Eduardo's friendship, it really is heartbreaking, and I can't get enough of it. That scene alone is why it's ranked so high. But the rest of the film is also just a joy to watch. It's like a product of the 2000s, which is another reason I love it. It just works so well. Definitely gotta watch it. Number 10, Jurassic Park. I mean, this is the ultimate Spielberg film, right? The ultimate blockbuster, right? It's like what he wanted Jaws to be when he was making it, but couldn't because of technical limitations. Then again, maybe Jaws is better without a CGI shark. But the way they use CGI here is probably one of the best uses of it. One of. You'll see what the real best is. But it holds up so well today, how real all the dinosaurs look, and how well it goes with the practical effects. It's just insane. And watching it go from this wonderland of dinosaurs, watching Jurassic Park go from that to a horror movie with real suspense rivaling Hitchcock. I mean, it's insane. You could never, like, it blows me away how good it actually was. I mean, I thought, oh, it's a blockbuster. It'll be alright, you know? But oh my gosh, it was actually really amazing. It lives up to the hype. And, you know, again, maybe you all have probably seen this at this point, but, you know, watch it again. And, you know, don't watch any of the sequels because they're not nearly as good. Number 9, North by Northwest. Um, this one I'm actually into because of back in high school, there was like this audio drama thing that the theater kids put on where they reenacted some Hitchcock films. And I had on the background, I wasn't paying much attention, and then North by Northwest came on, and suddenly I was taken in. The charisma of all the characters just sucked me in and blew me away. And then when I watched the actual movie and seeing all the effects like that iconic plane chase scene, it blew my mind. I did not know movies like with such technical limitations could still be that, you know, heart-stoppingly amazing. You know, I just was blown away by it. And the charisma of the characters, again, it's almost unparalleled. Not perfect by any means. It kind of drags a little with the story, but honestly, it's so engaging. I forget it, and it's always fun. It's like James Bond, but even better. I don't know how that's even possible since I love James Bond so much, but it just works so well. Cary Grant really sells this ordinary guy who does become a spy to take down these evil bad guys, and it always works so well. And the shots, VistaVision, so underrated. That's why some movies like The Brutalist are still using it. It works so well here. That was the peak of it, honestly. So yeah, if you really must give Hitchcock films a try, this is the one I recommend the most, along with Rope. See these two before anything else, you know, because that will be Hitchcock's best foot forward, in my opinion. Number 8, Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is another great one in terms of stop motion. Probably the best motion animated film I've ever seen. It's like it's Wes Anderson and my favorite of his, and it encapsulates his style so well. It works so well with stop motion. I mean, it's also amazing how they took a seemingly simple children's story by Roald Dahl made it into such a mature, adult-centered film that could be enjoyed by people of all ages. It it feels so much like the rest of his films, but in a way, it stands out just because of its unique style. Like it's the epitome of Wes Anderson, and it's so amazing seeing all these little animated stop motion animated rodents get into all these misadventures to dodge the evil farmers of Bogus Bunsen Bean. It's always great the way they do it, and yeah, I mean it's Wes Anderson. I mean, what do I gotta say, right? Number 7, Napoleon Dynamite. This one is probably gotta be one of, if not my favorite comedy film. I think some of the films higher on this list have a lot of comedy in them too, but I think this is a full on comedy film, and I think this one's got to be my favorite. It's a crash course in comedy, sort of like Wayne's World. James Rolfe, he said Wayne's World is like that. This one is especially for like deadpan comedy, like all the things you could do with that. It's an underrated form of comedy. They're not animated and expressive, but that's why they have to tap into deadpan so much, and they do everything great that you could with it. It's so funny. One of the most quotable films at all ever. Like I quote it all the time with my friends and family, and on top of that, it has such a nice small town feel because it was actually shot in Preston, Idaho, an actual small town. And going to college in a small town, growing up in a small town, I like that sort of feel because it reminds me of home. It's just a simple life with simple characters who get into some crazy stuff regardless. Definitely a must watch if you love comedy, especially deadpan. Number 6, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. What can I say? This is probably the greatest sequel of all time for a reason. It just builds on the original in every great way as the actual best CGI. I said before, what was the best? It's the T-1000. This liquid metal. It's old and it kind of looks outdated, but in a way it just works. It makes it seem so inhuman, and because it isn't human. It's a robot. It can't feel or be reasoned with. Unlike the T-8000, who learns to have compassion. And I love how both him and Sarah Connor are swayed by John Connor to not kill people. I love how he's this bad boy with a heart of gold, and the child actor, he just sells this kid. He's so endearing. He kind of acts like a prick at the beginning, but very quickly you see the goodness in him shine through, and that's what actually leads to them being able to destroy Skynet and save the world. And I love how they're breaking the cycle instead of just doing this all again like they did in the first movie, right? Like, why they gotta accept this fate? Scientists actually say that the nuke dream that Sarah had, it's the most realistic depiction of a nuke in cinema history. So it really just tells you that, yeah, this is pretty crazy stuff. We should probably, not let Judgment Day happen. And, the sequels say it's inevitable, but honestly, I just stop with a second and say they prevented it. There's even an alternate ending where, like, they say Judgment Day doesn't happen, they show the future. And, yeah, that, in my mind, is where it should have ended. But, yeah, hey, if you like the sequels beyond that, more to you. But this is the best Terminator film, no doubt. Number 5, The Incredibles. This has got to be my favorite animated film of all time, and why wouldn't it be? It's by Brad Bird, the man who proudly proclaimed that animation is not a genre, but a medium, because that's what it is. It's a storytelling medium, and that's best put on display in The Incredibles. Everything from the characters, to the story, to the universe that they build. It's just insane. Like, this is my second favorite superhero film of all time. You'll see number 1 soon, but this one, it's already kind of based on, like, Fantastic Four, and that's one of my favorite superhero groups. So I was kind of that kind of already brings me into it. But beyond that, it's just such a fun movie and so serious, so adult. It kind of feels like an animated James Bond film at times. Other times it feels like a regular superhero film, even better than like the MCU. Like it's everything you want in an animated movie and more. And that's why it's my favorite of all time. Like in animated films, of course. We still got four more to go through, and I only put them higher because they're just so gosh darn amazing. Number four, Whiplash. Oh yeah, this is it. Like I should have mentioned this with The Incredibles, but one of my favorite things about that film is the jazz score. Michael Giacchino, or is that how it's? I'll never pronounce that correctly, but the jazz score in that one was insane. But there's one score I like more than it. It's probably my favorite film score of all time. That has to be Whiplash. Because, oh my gosh, like I put that stuff on when I'm studying or working, I just go right through. It's flow incarnate. And that's obviously not the only reason it's up this high. It's just crazy, man. Like Neiman and Fletcher. The way Fletcher abuses the crap out of Neiman and ends up getting what he wants anyway, but like, at the same time, it's also what Neiman wants. So like, both the hero and the villain win, in a way. It's like satisfying but also like not in a realistic way. Like it's the best of both worlds in terms of what kind of ending you want, both triumphant and somber. Like it's really great how the villain of the story is actually able to get into your head and make you think he's right, because you wonder, is he right to push him like this even though he's abusing him like crap. Because Neiman does become the talented drummer he wants him to be, and he succeeds, but was it worth it? It's the ultimate I've won, but at what cost story, right? It's like, was it worth it? Breaking up with your girlfriend, alienating your friends and family? Was it worth it just to be a great drummer? That's the question it asks, and it asks it so well. And that, along with the music, just sucks me in every time. I always love it. I always get a kick out of it. It's Whiplash. Anyone from my generation has seen it, and we all know it's great, so just watch it again. So good. Number three, Bonnie and Clyde. This is the movie that started off the new Hollywood era, where directors had a lot more creative control over their movies. And yeah, it was best shown in this film because, oh my gosh, it's like, well, for one thing, it was one of the first films to be very bloody and violent, but it still kind of feels like a classic Hollywood film. So when you see all the blood and the violence, it's always jarring. No matter how many times I see it, it's just so jarring, to see them all get gunned down like that. Every time I see that ending, not gonna fully spoil it, but every time I see it, I'm just left in awe. I don't have words for it. I can't talk about it here. Not just because of spoilers, but because I can't do it justice. One of the greatest ending scenes in cinema history. And, oh my gosh, the rest of it. The characters. I'm so attached to them. Especially Blanche. She starts off as the one annoying character, the son of a preacher girl who ain't cut out for the criminal life, but by the end of it, when she's in the hospital and she's blind and this Texas Ranger is messing with her to get info on Bonnie and Clyde's whereabouts, it broke me. I didn't think it could do it with a character like Blanche, but I felt so sorry for her. I might have even teared up a little watching it. It was one of the saddest things I've seen. And to do that with a character that started off as unlikable, talk about character growth. Or even not just growth, but the way the director is able to change how you see them. This is why I like. This is why I like about films that do this. That put you in the person's shoes and bring out the empathy in you. It always works. And beyond that, seeing Bonnie and Clyde, try to get away with all these crimes while managing their toxic as heck relationship, it's always just a roller coaster. And it has one of my favorite jokes in any film. It's, okay, so, Clyde's brother Buck, he's telling him this story, right? And here's what the story is. So there's this guy on a dairy farm, and his ma is sick. And because this was way back when doctors would prescribe alcohol for treatments, the doctor does it, but, the farmer is like, no, man, my mom, she doesn't drink. She'd never do that. And, then the doctor's like, well, pour a little in her milk, and then maybe she'll drink it. And so he decides to do that, and she drinks it, and then drinks more and more. And then one day she's down in the whole thing immediately. And then she pulls the farmer boy over, and she's like, son, whatever you do, don't sell that cow. It's the funniest thing. It still gets me. I can't help but laugh a little. I mean, admittedly, it'll probably get old eventually, because it does for the characters of the film. But still, it's so hilarious. Just seeing this woman be on that cow. Oh, it's so good. So good. Number 2, The Dark Knight. Yeah, this is my favorite superhero film, and it's not even close. The action is just some of the best I've ever seen in any movie. It's creative, it's tense, you just don't feel safe watching this movie. It's just, the Joker's presence is always there. And it's just shown so greatly through Heath Ledger. What a swan song of a performance. I can't even do it justice. I mean, it's the Joker. That is just the Joker, And he's causing all this chaos and even the secondary villain Two-Face, it's amazing how, he literally lives up to his own prophetic phrase. You either die a hero or you'll live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It's that's what happened to him. It's both prophetic, but it really rings true for so many people who have had a downfall from grace. It's such a fall from grace movie, and it still gives you a triumphant and hopeful note to end on, because the Joker's brought the city to his knees, Batman might be going into exile, but it will still get better. It's just the ultimate superhero film. It does everything that you should to really bring into the real world what it means to be a superhero in a city as crime infested and corrupt as Gotham City. Now, before I get to number 1, I've got a few honorable mentions. The first is Training Day. This is a film a lot like Collateral, except it's Denzel Washington, who is the hero actor who plays the bad guy. It's about this new cop who goes with him on a 24-hour patrol, and then he learns that Denzel's corrupt as heck, and then he, sticks to his guns to try and take Denzel down, and the way that it all comes crumbling down for Denzel at the end, it makes a film for me. Not enough to get on the list, but definitely worth a mention. Another animated film I have just got to talk about is Beauty and the Beast. Probably one of my favorite Disney films. It's just pure Disney beauty. It's Walt's vision fully realized in terms of Disney fairy tales. And it's one I can't get enough of. The songs are especially amazing. The score is just one of the best I've heard, other than maybe Hans Zimmer for The Lion King. It's another one you should check out. Another one, of course, is the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, right? Because that's another great Western I wanted to put on the list, but only barely missed out. But yeah, you should definitely watch that as well. And another one I've just got to mention, it's Zombieland, because it kind of has that same Scott Pilgrim feel, but not as much. It's just a fun zombie comedy movie, and, Eisenberg, once again, just like in Social Network, he gives a pretty good performance as this nerdy guy, Columbus, who's able to take down all these zombies and get the girl. It's another fun romp. And, I could sit here all day talking about other movies I like, but we really gotta move on. So here it is. The number 1 favorite film of all time by me is No Country for Old Men. What can I even say? It supersedes Hitchcock in terms of suspense. The sound design, best ever in a film. It really brings attention, and oh my gosh, Anton Chigurh, one of the greatest probably the greatest bounty hunter in any film, one of the greatest villains in any film. he's just such a sociopath. You don't really know fully what his deal is, but you know he's a little bit nuts. And, you know, the way he stalks you, it's kind of like the Terminator, but he's an actual person, so it's even more scary. Like, this is a real person. This is a person who's broken down to the point where he goes to people, flips a coin, and kind of like Two-Face, right? He flips a coin, and depending on the outcome, he lets them live or he kills them. And it's just crazy. The atmosphere of it all, it is a neo-Western. And just seeing this guy try to keep 2 steps ahead of Anton with the money, it's just a desperate struggle that I can't help but watch every time. So many memorable scenes, especially the step out of the castle and psh, afterwards, right? Like, that is just one of not my favorite movie scene ever. Like, it's just amazing. I can't even do it justice beyond that. You owe it to yourself to watch this, because this is just too darn good. It's amazing. I'm not even asking on this one. You have to watch No Country for Old Men. It's my favorite movie of all time. And it might even be yours if you watch it. So, yeah. That was my top 25 favorite movies. And, you know, let me know if there are any that, you know, I should watch if I haven't. And let me know what your favorites are, too. And, you know, I'll see if I like them or not. And, yeah, let me know if you want to see me do more videos like this where I just talk to you guys, because, I don't know, it's kind of fun. But, you know, we'll see, you know. I'll see what the comments have to say. If they're even actual people, of course. But, you know, I assume that most of my viewers are actual humans and not bots. So, you know, post your comments and I'll look through them. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you all so much for watching, and Ian Haas, out!